What's up? It's Susie from Hey Grill Hey, and today I'm taking one of my most popular recipes, smoked prime rib, and answering one of the most common questions. Can I do this in the oven? You absolutely can. I'm going to show you how. So let's do it. Now, my smoked prime rib is one of my most popular recipes for a reason. It has a beautiful garlic and herb butter frosting, essentially, that slow cooks over the prime rib and then melts into the bottom of a tray. It becomes this beautiful herby butter baste at the end that you can drizzle over the prime rib. This stands as one of the most delicious things I have ever made, and I think this would be my 8th or 9th year cooking this for my family for Christmas. Now, normally I do it in the smoker, but sometimes you just can't. Your smoker breaks, you don't have one, you need the oven to pull through for you, and the cooking method on this is really what makes this prime rib method shine. So let's jump in with that garlic butter frosting. It's not actually frosting, but it feels like frosting. We start with 16 ounces of softened butter. I like to go unsalted on the butter so I can control the amount of salt on the prime rib itself. Many cloves of minced garlic. I think, measure this with your heart. I would say at least 4. I probably do a whole head of garlic when I make it at home. And then the herbs, I've got a couple sprigs of fresh rosemary, a couple sprigs of fresh thyme. You can use dried here. You'll just have to decrease the amount slightly because dried herbs tend to be a little bit stronger than fresh herbs once you get them mixed into the butter and onto your prime rib roast. I usually spring for fresh though. I think the flavor is so much better. And if you're making something like a prime rib for a holiday meal, you kind of just, spring for the fresh if you can get them. Give your herbs a mince until they're nice and fine. We want really, really tiny pieces because we want all of the flavor, but not necessarily any woody pieces from those rosemary bits. Just make sure they're nice and fine. They go into your softened garlic butter. Give that a stir. Now you really want your butter to be very, very soft here. If your butter is barely soft, you're gonna have a really hard time not just mixing it, but spreading it on the cold prime rib. So keep it really almost on the edge of melted in terms of how softened your butter is. Let's talk about the prime rib roast itself. Now this is a bone-in 8 to 10 pound prime rib roast. It is not prime grade necessarily. That's not why it's called prime rib. It's just that it's cut from an entire primal muscle, and that's where it got its name. You can buy a prime grade prime rib, but most often you'll end up with a choice grade rib roast if you're buying them from the grocery store. The timing for this recipe is based off of an 8 to 10 pound roast. For this first cooking phase, we're doing really low temperature, 225 degrees in your oven, and plan about 35 minutes per pound. Once you cross the 10 pound mark in a roast like this, it does get longer, but it doesn't necessarily get wider. So the most that you'll plan for your time is basing any size roast above 10 pounds as if it is a 10 pound roast. Now this roast came pre-trimmed from the butcher counter, which meant they took the bones, cut along the bone section here for me, and then tied the bones back on. This is actually my preferred way of doing prime rib roasts. It gives me a built-in cooking rack. I have family that loves to eat the bones after the prime rib roast is cooked. And did they tie these on wrong? They totally tied this on wrong. Look they tied the rib roast on sideways. I mean, it's not gonna change how it's cooked, but they are totally tied on sideways. But that's fine, because the purpose of the bones on the bottom is to create a kind of elevated roasting rack for your prime rib roast to cook on top, and that's still gonna work even if they're tied on sideways. No wonder that looked funny. That's hilarious. But if you're doing it at home, tie the ribs on the right way, cut them off, tie it back on. If you want to, you can trim off any of this excess fat across the top. I actually think this is trimmed down enough right here for my liking. I'm not too worried about this fat cap right here. We're gonna leave that on and then get this seasoned up and buttered. It's wild. My brain broke as soon as I flipped that upside down. I'm gonna season this roast on all sides before we hit it with the butter. You can use salt and pepper at home. I like to use my beef rub. It's salt and pepper plus a little extra. There is some garlic powder and some onion powder and a couple other things that I think just add some really nice flavor. Now you can go really liberal on the seasoning on the outside of your prime rib because this is a very thick roast. There's not gonna be a lot of flavor on the inside of the meat itself, so by heavily seasoning the outside, we're gonna develop a really beautiful, flavorful crust, and then the melted butter on the bottom being served over the roast after it's done cooking will help season everything on the inside. But you can give yourself a nice, healthy layer of salt and pepper on the outside of your roast. Roast is seasoned, it's time to slather. And again, soft butter is your friend here, and you'll see why I call this a garlic butter frosting for the prime rib. I like to use a rubber spatula, really soft butter, and just slather it on every exposed inch of this beautiful piece of beef. That looks great. I'm going to address two comments that I get really often. Yes, this is a crap ton of butter. It just is. Yes, it is going to melt off. No, it is not a waste. It is going to melt off, but as it slowly melts, again, we're only cooking this at 225 degrees. As the butter slowly melts on the outside of the roast, it's also releasing all of the flavors of the herbs in the butter. It's also releasing all of the flavors of the garlic in the butter. Some of the butter does stay on top. It helps the herbs and the garlic adhere and really give us that beautiful exterior crust. Plus, this low cooked garlicky herby butter is not going to waste. Again, we're using it at the end. So it is a lot of butter. It is really delicious. It is totally worth it. Now that this is ready, it goes into the oven. Again, quick recap, 225, 35 minutes per pound. This is a 2-phase cooking process. Low temperature to start. We're gonna finish it with a high temperature blast of heat at the end to develop all that beautiful brown crispiness on the outside. Depending on how you like your roast cooked, you wanna take it up to about 120 degrees if you like more of a rare roast for this first phase of the cooking process, around 124, 125 for medium rare, and about 128, almost up to 130 if you like a medium roast. Use a good internal thermometer, start checking when you're getting close to that final cook time, but make sure you do it a little bit before. Every oven cooks differently, the same way every smoker cooks differently, and you don't wanna accidentally overshoot the time. Use the time as a guideline, not a hard and fast rule, because this can rest for a little while. So it's better to start a little early and maybe finish a little bit early than to push your cook time up until the last minute, not give it sufficient time to rest, or have people waiting when all of your sides are ready to go. We're about 4 hours and 45 minutes into the cook, clocking right around 120 in the center of our roast, which is where I want it because we like a little bit more of that, you know, rare to low end of mid-rare roast at our house, which means a couple of things have to happen next. This beautiful rack that this prime rib roast has been cooking on is getting transferred over to a fresh, clean cookie sheet. And all of the juices that our first cookie sheet caught are going to get strained into a measuring cup or a jar and then set aside for the very end. Now this is all of that beautiful, slow roasted garlic, herbs, beef drippings, and butter that melted off during this low temperature cooking process. And this stuff is like liquid gold. You can see it's an amber color. The next thing that needs to happen is the high temperature roast on the outside of our prime rib. So I turned up the oven to 450 degrees. This roast is going to rest while the oven is preheating for the next 10 to 20 minutes. The end goal of this final step is to take what we have right here, which is a kind of lightly golden crust, right? The garlic is still kind of light and pale, and really brown it up. Bring a nice dark exterior, crunchy crispiness to the crust of this prime rib, which is all about flavor and texture. Now that final roasting process does go quickly. Plan on maybe 5 to 10 minutes max for that second roasting period. This is gonna give us the crust, but it's also gonna take us up to our final target temperature, which for this roast is gonna be between 125 and 130. One thing you don't wanna do when your roast is in the oven is walk away it can turn from beautiful golden brown to really dark really fast. So stay close, same as you would if you had something in the broiler, and you'll be good to go. You can see the color that this took on just in that little bit of time in the oven. We've got these beautiful, crispy, golden brown prime rib pieces. Our internal temperature should be clocking right about 120, or were we, 128? This one's a little lower, 126. We're gonna let it rest for a couple of minutes, and that carryover cooking is gonna lift up the final temperature of this roast in about the next 10 minutes or so. So I'm just gonna transfer this over to my cutting board, and then we'll be ready to slice and serve.
Depending on how many people you're serving, you can cut them as thick as you like. Also, with kids, sometimes we'll cut them a little bit thinner, or we'll even cut them in half.
It tastes like the holidays. It tastes like buttery, rich, beefy, garlicky, salty love in my mouth. That was a good piece of beef right there.
We'll catch you guys next time. Oh, it's so good.